Welcome back to Her Perspective. The number of Caribbean people with high blood pressure and diabetes is drastically increasing. This is what the United Nations reported on May 17 this year. This report is further evidence of the dramatic increase in the conditions that trigger heart disease and other chronic illnesses, particularly in low and middle income countries.
An increase in obesity is also highlighted in the report as being a major health risk. In every region of the world, obesity has doubled between 1980 and 2008. Today, 500 million people, 12% of the world's population, are considered obese. It also says in all parts of the world, women are more likely to be obese than men, making them more vulnerable to diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and some cancers.
And joining us to shed some more light on this issue is Dr. Patricia Gardner. She serves at the Northern Caribbean University's Health and Wellness Center.
Dr. Gardner, thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
And I am asking you to get right into it. What is obesity?
Obesity, such a topic.
Yes.
One that is so popular today and heard every time, everywhere. But obesity is basically an excess amount of body fat.
Dr. Gardner, is there a difference between being obese and being overweight?
Yes, there is a difference between being obese and overweight. And we need to know about your BMI or body mass index to describe the difference between obesity and just being overweight.
Okay.
What's the body mass index?
Your body mass index is a measurement of your height compared to your weight. Okay? If you take someone's weight in kilograms divided by the height in meters squared, then that gives you a number. If the number falls between 25 and 30, you're considered to be in the overweight category. When the number goes beyond 30, you are considered to be in the obese category.
Wow. So you're saying that for each person, their body mass index should fall below 30 in order for them to be considered not obese?
Yes.
And once it goes over 30, it's so is there a framework, for example, that we follow? At 5'1", for example, 3/4, 5'1", 3/4. What is my expected body mass index?
Okay, I would have to calculate that between your height and your weight. And it falls, sometimes it's actually designated small frame, medium frame, and large frame. Because obviously a small frame person, you know, you have different measurements from if you're a large frame. But there are graphs that would be able to tell you exactly where you fall in your BMI. And this should give you an idea of if you are overweight or if you're obese.
Okay. Dr. Gardner, another thing well, we said it at the beginning of the program that the statistics as it relates to persons who suffer from obesity, the stats tend to be higher in females than males. Do you find that even in your practice?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And research has also shown that obesity is definitely higher in males than in females than it is in males. And I have seen that in my practice also. And this is particularly so, I believe, as women get older. When you get older, your metabolism tends to slow down. And you know, you just put the weight on a little bit faster, and if you are not tuned into being active or as active as you should be, definitely obesity sets in. What
causes, though, for some individuals, when they eat, it doesn't matter how much junk food they have, they don't manage to put on any weight? Is it that they have such a high metabolic rate, it doesn't affect them? Will it eventually slow? Will all of that turn into fat?
Now, your weight is genetically predisposed. You know, if you are from a family of slim people, you are genetically predisposed to slimness. If you are from a family and you've inherited the genes of being stout or bigger, then those genes will follow you and you'll be passed on to your children. So there's a genetic predisposition to these conditions. In addition to that, your lifestyle also plays a big part. You know, I say lifestyle, 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 because lifestyle determines so much of what happens to us as we go through the course of life.
Okay, now we are in Jamaica, and I remember even as we were growing, I grew very slim, although you would not look at me now and
no,
even figure that.
Never.
But there was always the pressure that you need to put on weight. And now we're understanding that it wasn't necessarily the best thing. Now, there are some persons who feel very comfortable, or I think that being fat, fluffy, or whatever it is quite okay. Should somebody be concerned if they are on the heavy side?
Yes, they should be concerned, because obesity is a serious health hazard.
Okay.
And I would say if a person is becoming overweight, it is very important that they should know their weight, they should know their BMI, and this person particularly should go in and have blood sugar done, blood pressure done, their cholesterol, because obesity is involved in all these different health problems. Okay. Your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your cholesterol, and as you move down the line, heart disease, stroke, and these different problems. So if you're overweight, you may be feeling well, but you may not be as healthy as you think you are. Okay. And I would suggest that, you know, having periodic medical checkups is important. Okay. I weigh my patients on every visit, okay, because I want to know what their weight is. And I also, we measure their height periodically, not always. Once you get a height, you're an adult, you pretty much wouldn't change your height. But I think the weight measurement is important because it tells you your trend. Okay. For example, you see a patient today, there's a certain weight. You see them 6 months later, and when that patient actually sees that his or her weight went from such to such, it's like a wake-up call. Okay. Right. You know, in 6 months, I've gained so many pounds. So I do it because I want to know, and I do it also because I want patients to be aware of what is happening with your weight. And this way, I think the reality of it may encourage them or motivate them to do something if they're becoming overweight.
Okay. Dr. Gardner, we see that even in children, the issue of obesity or overweight is becoming, well, it's on the increase, it's on the rise. I live near to a food complex, call it that if you will, and I drive past the supermarket and I see children eating Burger King, children indulging in KFC, and the parents are quite fine with it. These are children who are fat, you know, and my question is how does exercise come into the picture? How important is exercise, especially as it relates to the whole issue of obesity? Okay.
Children develop habits when they're young, and these habits carry through into adulthood. This is why it is so important that children be taught proper habits in terms of diet and exercise. The way you eat, how you eat, what you eat, your portions, everything is formulated as a child. And this is learned behavior. And this carries through into adulthood. How active you are begins as a child. Children that are involved in sports and a lot of physical activity, they tend to do the same as they get older. Because obesity and being overweight, there are two factors are involved. Basically, your intake and your output. Okay. If you're taking in more than you're putting out, the excess amount that you're taking in goes to fat. Okay. If you are burning as much as you're taking in, then your weight remains the same. Yes. But if your output is higher than your intake, you will lose weight. Okay. So the whole cycle is involved with intake and output. This is why in order to maintain your weight, you have to have an output that equals your intake. In order to lose weight, you have to burn calories more than you're taking in order to lose weight.
But you know, Lorraine, I'm thinking majority of the jobs being offered nowadays are desk work jobs. So we're not, in general, we're not burning the amount of energy that we should be. I mean, for example, at my job, I sit at a desk. I mean, I love the times when I get to go out on the road and do what I need to. But even our very lifestyle, the things that we have to do, we realize that we're not finding the time to exercise as much as we should. But how important is it for us to make the time that is necessary for this?
Lifestyles today do not help with this problem of obesity. And this is why we are seeing the escalating numbers of obese children and adults. Take, for example, the home where both parents work. There is not much time for meal planning, for teaching children the proper, the healthier foods that they should have. When a woman works all day, she comes home, she's tired. Sometimes meals are picked up on the way home. If she does get home, it's getting things as fast as she could. And the other problem is that meals tend to be even later. Because if you get home at 6 o'clock, then your meal is ready around 8, the family is eating later. So there's the problem of the lifestyle of today that's impacting obesity so tremendously. So we are not eating the proper foods, and then most of our jobs are sedentary jobs. Many people sit at a desk most of the day, so there is inactivity, and that inactivity is what predisposes to obesity. So people of today have to make a determined effort to make sure their diets are healthier and that they become active. Families can make an effort to do this, but it takes motivation and it takes determination. It does not come naturally. And this is why the problem of obesity is so serious.
All right, Dr. Garner, I want you to hold it right there. After this break, we're going to be looking at some of the things, some of the ways in which we can continue to further care for our bodies. Stay right here. We'll be right back.